Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video we're talking about Nintendo Switch, PlayStation Vita, and RetroArch. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, I'm back from vacation, I'm extremely jet lagged, and I'm running on about 2 hours of sleep, so I'm going to try to keep this video short and sweet so I can get to bed. And we'll start out here talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on PC with Ryujinx. Ryujinx just had a pretty massive breakthrough. So the Ryujinx team has just released LDN3. LDN3 stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano. And with LDN3 you can now play local wireless games with real Switch consoles on the same network. Now the LDN version of Ryujinx is considered a special build of Ryujinx. It's not a mainline build and it's not available on their website. The only way to pick it up is to head to their Patreon page, but you can pick it up 100% free, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. So in this brand new LDN3 version of Ryujinx, there's a brand new multiplayer mode, and you'll know if you're using the LDN version by checking out the logo in the top left-hand corner of the program. If it's green and pink, that's the LDN version of Ryujinx. If it's blue and red, that's the standard build. And the new mode is LDN MITM. It's worth pointing out that LDN MITM is the mode you want to use if you wanted to have Ryujinx talk to an actual Nintendo Switch. And it's also worth pointing out that that Switch will need to be modded. You cannot use a stock Nintendo Switch to communicate with Ryujinx just yet. And for those wondering, yes, LDN3 works with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, so if you're using LDN2, it might be a good time to update. And speaking about updates, next up here, we're still talking about Switch emulation, but switching over to Android and talking about Skyline. And Skyline Edge has a brand new update that might get you pretty excited. Now, Skyline Edge is the paid testing early access version of Skyline, and Skyline Edge changes eventually make their way over to the mainline build within a couple of weeks once the bugs have been worked out. Skyline Edge version 12 and Skyline Edge version 12 Hacked have just been released. Skyline Edge version 12 brings about a whole bunch of performance improvements and bug fixes, and Skyline Edge version 12 Hacked is especially interesting if you've got a Mali GPU. Now this is on a Snapdragon, but Zelda Skyward Sword HD is up and running, rendering, and well, most things are rendering in-game and arguably kind of playable. I'll link this video in the description below. It's by Easy on the Eyes and it's about a 20-minute gameplay. Breath of the Wild is a little bit more playable, and this is not on a Snapdragon CPU. Skyrim is rendering a little bit better and has improved frame rates on a Mali GPU. Astral Chain got a bump in frame rate. Ori and the Blind Forest is looking a heck of a lot better. In addition to all of that, there's a bunch more games that are working a heck of a lot better now, and Skyline is about to get even more improvements. This is an emulator worth paying attention to. It's only getting better and better and better, and at a very fast rate. And speaking about an emulator worth paying attention to, next up here we're talking about PlayStation Vita emulation on Android with Vita 3K. And yes, MacDo's back, and yes, we've got an update. MacDo's got God of War up and running at almost full speed with 3 times upscaling applied, and the game is rendering very good and running very good. I would argue that this area is not necessarily an easy area to emulate, and it's up and running here at close to 30 frames per second. It's even saying it's averaging about 30 frames per second and running very well. On top of that, Persona 4 went from 5 to 7 frames per second up to 15 to 20 frames per second. Trails of Cold Steel got a bump from 7 to 22 frames per second. And Shovel Knight is running at a whopping 60 frames per second. MacDo has come back from vacation energized and is absolutely killing it. Please note that right now, at least at the time of filming, there's no public APK available for Vita 3K on Android. If you find one, chances are it's probably fake. MacDo is working extremely hard on this one, and it hasn't been released to the public just yet. Last up, we're talking about RetroArch, and RetroArch version 1.13.0 has just released. I'll leave a link to the changelog in the description below. For Android, Vibrate on key press is now enabled by default, and threaded video has been turned off, which should help things look a little bit better. For you Apple folks, trackpad support has been added for iOS 13.4 and above. And on macOS, there's been some bug fixes. For touchscreen users on both Android and iOS, the touchscreen controls have been improved, including the RetroPad. HDR mode has been fixed for Vulkan, and there's been some quality of life improvements for the main menu, including introducing the ability to control the main menu with your right analog stick. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Let me know your thoughts about anything we talked about today in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like, hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your estate.